So we will start this new topic called recursion. Although it's given separately in syllabus, but I thought that it would be better to cover this topic with functions, because recursion is implemented through functions in Python. So it is beneficial for you to understand this thing along with functions. So let's start this topic called recursion. So first you have to understand the meaning of recursion. What is recursion? So recursion is nothing, it's just a method. It's a method of programming or coding. And what we do in this method? In this method, since we are understanding this recursion with respect to functions, so I will explain recursion with respect to function. So what happens that when a function calls itself, then we call that function a recursive function because it is calling itself. Okay, so if a function definition satisfy the condition of recursion, and the condition is what? The condition is that the function should call itself, then we call this function a recursive function. There is one more condition that we will discuss a little later, but for now you understand this, that a function which calls itself is called a recursive function. So let's move ahead and understand what recursion actually is. So in recursion, I have already told you that a function calls itself. So what happens with this is that the same function gets executed again and again, but with different parameters, and that is the catch. The same code inside function gets executed again and again, but with different parameters, and hence produces different this output, and we collect those output as per our need. So we use recursion as a tool to solve a problem. So this will be clear in a while. Just so first we will take an example, and then we will see that how we do this thing with function. So you all must have heard this factorial function. A factorial of a number is number multiplied by a number less than that number, and this series continues till 1. So factorial 4 is equal to 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, that is 24. So this is an example of a recursion, that to find factorial 4 we can divide this problem of finding factorial of 4 into a smaller problem. So to find factorial 4 we have to find factorial of 3 and then multiply that with 4. And to find the factorial of 3 we have divided this problem into even a smaller problem. So to find factorial of 3 we have to find the factorial of 2 and then multiply with this 3, and to find factorial of 2 we have to find factorial of 1 and then multiply this with 2, and so on. So this chain will continue till a certain point, and that point is called base condition if we are dealing with functions. So that point is called base condition, and that was the condition that I was talking about, that function has to fulfill. So a recursive function has to fulfill an important condition to be used in a program, and that condition is it has to terminate. And a recursive function terminates if with every recursive call the solution of the problem is downsized and moves towards a base or terminating condition. So here is that word which I was using, base or terminating condition. Yes. So every recursive function must have base or this terminating condition. As in example of this finding the factorial of 4, the base or terminating condition is this one, when we reach this thing, the factorial of 0, and we all know that factorial of 0 is 1. So this factorial of 0 will return 1, and this 1 will get multiplied with this 1, so factorial of 1 will become 1, and this factorial 1 will give 1, and then this 1 will get multiplied by 2, and this factorial of 2 will become 2 ones are 2. So this 2 will return 2, and this 2 will multiply with 3, and 3 2s are 6. So factorial 3 will return 6. So here we will have 6, and this 6 will get multiplied with 4, and we will get 24. So factorial of 4 is 24. So I hope this thing is clear. We will see this when we implement this in a function. So let's move ahead. Now, so we were talking about the base condition or the terminating condition. What happens if the function doesn't fulfill that condition and a function call itself? Like this function, we have a function called infinite recursion, and it prints a message, and in the next line it calls itself. Now you can see there is no base condition here. So what will happen, that this function will be, it will go into a infinite loop, and this function will call itself, and then again itself, and then again itself, and this message forever it will get printed again and again till your computer goes out of memory. See, so this is the thing, or this happens when no base condition is defined inside function. So base condition must be there inside a function, which is we want to be a recursive function. Now that factorial example, we have implemented that with a function fact, and we have implemented it using recursion. So you can see this is the base condition, and this function is calling itself. So we are calling fact from inside this fact function. So what will happen, we will see. So here we have taken a number from user n, and we are calling this function fact of n. Say this n is 5. Let's say this n is 5. So this 5 will get passed here, this n, and this fact n will be called. Since n is not 5, this return and then this function call, it will get executed. We are calling this fact function with n minus 1 now. Means we have passed 5, and now we are calling it with 4, and we are multiplying this fact of 4 with 5. Same thing that we have discussed earlier. Then again, since fact is called with parameter with argument 4, again this code will get executed 4, and then this will become 3, and this will become 4, and this loop and this this thing will go on till we reach this n equal to 0, and from there this one will get returned, and the stack will revert back with values, and finally we will have the factorial of 5. We can see this here. So we have called you can see that this box, you can assume that this box is a stack, stack of this function, fact function. So this when we call this when we are calling this function fact with 5, it is calling the factorial of 4 multiplied with 5. See, n multiplied with fact of n minus 1. Now this factorial of 4, it is calling this factorial of 3 multiplied by 4. Now this factor of 3 is calling 3 into fact 2. This fact 2, this function fact 2, this function having 2 as parameter, it is calling 2 into fact 1, and this one is calling 1 into fact 0, and this fact is 0 is returning 1. And what will happen? This will return 1. This will return 1 again. Then this fact 2 will return 2. Then this fact of 3 will return 6. Then this fact of 4 will return 6 into 4, 24. And then this fact of 5 will return 24 into 5, that is 120. So you can compare these boxes with the individual code of the function. This is the function with fact 5, this is the function with fact 4, this with fact 3, this is fact 2, fact 1, and so on. So same code is getting called again and again, but with different parameters, and when it reaches the base condition or the terminating condition, then this chain is what we can say, this chain is broken and results get popped out in reverse fashion, and then finally we get the our value what we were expecting from the function. So I hope this recursive call and this recursive stack that I have tried to explain, you all must have understood this thing. So let's take another example. Here we are finding the first n natural number, their sum we are trying to find out. So we know that if we have to find sum of first n natural numbers, means 1 to 10, we can divide this thing, this question of finding the sum of first 10 natural numbers. We can say that we can find sum of 10 and this function sum of 9. So whatever this sum of 9 will give us, we will add that thing with 10. Okay, now this sum of 9, it will call sum of 8 and will add it to 9. Then this sum of 8, it will call sum of 7 and will add it to 8. Now this sum of 7 will call sum of 6, sum of 6 will call 5, and this 5 will call 4, and so on until we reach the base condition. Okay, so sum of 1 will return 1, so 1 plus 2, 3, so sum of 2 will return 3, and 3 plus 3 is 6, so sum of 3 will return 6, and 6 plus 4 10, and sum of 4 will return 10, so 10 plus 4 5 15, and so on, and we will get our final answer as 55 here when we pass n as 10. So you can see this is the base condition and this is the recursive call. So you can see that in factorial we were multiplying, and in this example we are just adding it, and it's almost same as the factorial problem in the previous slide. So I hope this thing is clear. Now again, Fibonacci number. Now what is a Fibonacci number? A Fibonacci number is a number is a series like this. So first we have to understand what is Fibonacci series. A series like this is called 0, then 1, then 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. This series is called Fibonacci series. What happens in this is that the first number is 0, second is 1, and the third number is sum of last two. Okay, then this fourth number will be sum of last two, then this number will be sum of last two, then this number will be sum of last two. So this series is called Fibonacci series. So we can implement this Fibonacci series using recursion, because the value of nth number is depending upon n minus 1 and n minus 2. So you have guessed it right. You just have to call the same function with n minus 1 and n minus 2 value, and you will get the answer. So this is the function Fibonacci, which is taking a parameter n, and we are finding the nth Fibonacci number. So it cannot be less than 0, so we have printed incorrect input in case someone enters n less than 0. For the first Fibonacci number is 0, of course we will return 0 here, and second is 1, and for rest we will call this function again with change parameters n minus 1 and n minus 2, and then again that recursive call will go and we will find our answer as 21 if we want the 9th Fibonacci number, so that will be 21. So I hope this thing is clear. So here we have base condition. Here you can see n is 1 or n is 2. So these two are the base conditions. So whichever one will get encounter, it will get executed first. So this was the example of a recursive function, and so let's move ahead. Now this binary search. Now this binary search, what happens in binary search is that we take a list or array, and that array is sorted. We assume that it's sorted, okay? And in binary search, what we do, we try to search an element inside this array and array or list. And since we know that it's a sorted array, so suppose I want to find a number, say 10, and I have this list here. So what I will do, I will match that 10 with the middle of this list, the element in the middle of this list. If the element in here is less than the number that I am finding, so in this case 10, so if the number here is less than 10, so what will happen, if the number is less than 10, so I hope that number will be present in where, in this part of the list. So suppose that number is 8, okay, and we want to find this 10 here. So we will compare with the middle element. The middle element is, suppose it's 8 here, okay, and we want to find 10, and since we know that 8 is here, so 10 must be here, not here, sorry, not here, that 10 must be here.